Hi there, Morgan here from Crafting a Lovely Life, and today I'm going to show you how to make this adorable Santa countdown dry erase board using your Cricut and adhesive vinyl. I'm so happy with how this countdown turned out, and my kids absolutely love it too. The Christmas countdown is officially on, so I can't wait to show you how to make your own Santa countdown. Let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is measure our dry erase board to see how big we can make the design. For the 12 by 12 dry erase board I'm using today, 10.5 inches will be about perfect for the design. So now we can open up a new project in Cricut Design Space. Then we're going to upload the Santa Countdown SVG design. I have this design available on my website, so if you want to download it, you can get all of that information below in the description. Once you have it open, you can resize the design to fit on your dry erase board. Now we need to attach the different elements of our design so they stay together while the Cricut cuts them. So select the entire design and click Ungroup. Now select the red layer in the Layers panel and click Attach. Then select the green layer and click Attach. We're going to leave the snowflakes the way they are because they will be placed separately on the dry erase board. Now you can click Make It. You should have 3 mats for this project, one for each color. Next, click Continue and we can select our material type. Now, I don't know about you, but my Cricut Maker has a hard time cutting vinyl when I just use the vinyl setting. Even if I select the vinyl material type and then select more pressure, it still struggles getting everything cut just right. I've actually had the best luck getting vinyl to cut with my Maker on the premium shimmer vinyl material type setting. So I just select Browse All Materials and then search for premium shimmer vinyl and select that as my material type. If you don't already know how well your Cricut cuts through vinyl on the different settings, I recommend doing a small cut test with the different material type options to see what works best for your machine before you cut this large design. Once you select your material type, we can place the vinyl on the mat. For adhesive vinyl, you want the color side up and the paper backing side down on the mat. Then you can use your brayer tool to make sure the vinyl is really stuck down well. Next, you can load the mat into your Cricut and start cutting. Once you unload the mat, flip it over and peel the vinyl gently away from the mat. Next, we can place the green vinyl on the mat, load it, and start cutting. Last are the snowflakes. So again, place the vinyl on the mat with the colored side up, load the mat, and start cutting. Now that all of the vinyl is cut, we can start weeding. I like to use a weeding tool to get the corner of the vinyl peeled up and then gently peel away the excess vinyl. For the green and red vinyl, there's quite a bit of uncut vinyl, so I'm going to trim that off to use for smaller future projects. Just make sure when you are trimming off the excess that you don't accidentally cut apart the different design elements. We want the design to stay together. Once you have the bulk of the vinyl removed, you can use the weeding tool to get the smaller pieces inside of the words and images. Now we can cut off a piece of standard grip transfer tape the size of our design. Peel off the paper backing and place the transfer tape on the red part of the design. Be careful not to wrinkle the transfer tape as you are placing it onto the vinyl. Use a scraper tool on the front and the back of the vinyl to make sure the vinyl gets stuck to the transfer tape. Then peel up the transfer tape with the red layer on it. Next, to get the green layer onto the transfer tape, we are going to place down the paper backing sheet that's left over from the red vinyl and then put the green layer on top of it. This is to protect the red vinyl when we place it on top of the green. Otherwise, the red vinyl would just get stuck to my desk, which is not what we want. Now, before we stick the transfer tape down, we are going to get a piece of parchment paper and cover the majority of the green vinyl. This will help us get everything lined up just right before we stick down the transfer tape. So I'm covering up all of the green layer with parchment paper except for the words at the top. I can then refer back to the design in Design Space to see exactly where that text should go in between the red words. Once it is lined up, you can stick the top part of the design down. Now, before you remove the parchment paper, double check that the rest of the design is where it needs to be. If you need to adjust, carefully peel the transfer tape back up and try to line it up again. If the design is where you want it, then you can gently start to pull the parchment paper down and stick the transfer tape down as you go. Then use a scraper tool on the green parts of the design to get it stuck to the transfer tape. Flip the design over and use the scraper tool on the back as well. Then peel up the transfer tape with the red and green layers on it. Now, normally I would recommend wiping down the surface of the dry erase board with alcohol and a lint-free cloth before you stick adhesive vinyl on it. However, the alcohol left little bubbles on some parts of my dry erase board, so I would not recommend doing that with this material type. Just use a dry lint-free cloth to wipe off any dust or dirt. To get the design centered on the dry erase board, we are going to use the parchment paper again. So cover up the majority of the board with parchment paper. Then place your design on top of it. I decided to flip over my mat to the measurement side and use a clear acrylic ruler so that I could get the design straight and centered. Once you have the design where you want it, you can press down on the transfer tape at the top of the dry erase board. Then slowly remove the parchment paper and use a scraper tool as you go to make sure there aren't any bubbles in the vinyl. Now you can carefully peel up the transfer tape. I didn't notice it at this point, but I actually lost one of the dashes on my countdown box when I peeled up the transfer tape. Don't worry, I found it later, but just double check that everything is sticking as you peel up the transfer tape. Now we are going to get our snowflakes on the dry erase board. Just cut a small square from the transfer tape you were already using and then place it on the first snowflake. Then use the scraper tool to get the snowflake attached to the transfer tape. Refer back to Design Space again to see where the snowflakes should be placed, and then place the snowflakes on the board. Use a scraper tool to make sure it's stuck to the dry erase board and peel up the transfer tape. Repeat that process for the remaining 2 snowflakes. Look how cute this Santa countdown turned out. I absolutely love it and I'm so excited to start using it this Christmas. My kids are super excited to start counting down the days too. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and get a chance to make your own Santa countdown dry erase board this year. Be sure to subscribe below so you can follow along each week as I share new crafty projects. Don't forget to grab this design on my website listed below. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!